push through the heavy glass doors of Le Dome, a defunct, swanky Sunset Strip French bistro. Le Dome counts Elton John among its illustrious owners, and in 1978 is an industry favorite. I'm not thinking about Elton John, though, and I'm not thinking about those sliding doors we occasionally stumble through when someone walks, trips, or dances into our lives with the possibility of altering everything. Teetering on my 2-inch platform shoes, the maitre d' waves me to a private dining room for a luncheon in honor of Peter Gabriel. I'm hoping to run into someone, anyone I know, to avoid feeling awkward and wallflowerish. I'd like to be one of those self-assured women who breeze into places like that with strand, perfect hair, like she owns the place. But I'm not. I play keyboards in a band. I eke out some vocals. I hide behind a lot of black eye makeup and write music articles for a few publications. I'm out on the scene, going to clubs and shows, but never quite sure myself, and my hair is almost always messy. Several journalists and record label types schmooze like pros, clutching afternoon cocktails, wagging cigarettes. Remember those days? I spot Peter Gabriel off to one side, nodding as various people, some I recognize, talk at him. I sense patience, a gentleness. It's palpable even at a distance, something likable, not a typical rock star vibe. I like to think it's serendipity that seats me beside him at the far end of the table. But in truth, it's the maneuvering of a friend who is a publicist at his label. My new band, a fledgling techno-pop band yet to be called Vivabeat, recently recorded its first demo. And my publicist friend, she thinks Peter would dig our song, Man from China. I doubt he'll ever get a chance to hear it, but sitting beside him, even though I'm a big fan, I try and play it cool, normal. We strike up a quiet conversation in which it's revealed that while I'm officially there at the luncheon as a journalist, my main deal is playing keyboards and synthesizers in the band. Peter lights up and smiles. At this gathering, as a musician, I just became an ally. As most people opt for steaks and over sole, we bond over being vegetarians and order every veggie on the menu. Peter tells me he hasn't met many female synth players. He's interested in my music, the instruments I play, the bands I like. He asks if he can hear what I'm working on. My head spins, and we plan to meet that evening. I'll pick him up at the Sunset Marquis Hotel at 6. Unnoticed, a sliding door begins to materialize. After totally shocking my roommates by strolling into our living room with Peter Gabriel, he responds favorably to our Roxy music and Velvet Underground-inspired tunes. He listens closely to the whistle, intro, and refrain of Man from China. He likes it, but thinks it needs more work. Solidify what we're doing is his advice. Then he says I should stay in touch, and that when we finish another demo, I'll let him hear it. So Peter Gabriel is telling me to stay in touch. Peter Gabriel gives me his phone number in England. The world shifts a notch, and I'm game. I think, but can't be so bold as to assume that there may be something more than music to his overture. But as is my style, I presume nothing and let it go. Privately pleased. Everyone in my band is convinced that Peter has already ushered us on to the path of success. We need to refine our songs, though, find more band members, book some shows. But things start to feel oddly real, much bigger than our tiny rehearsal room and our 6 songs. One evening, coming down from a batch of absinthe we brewed in his bathroom, our guitar player, Alec, impulsively reaches out to a handful of musicians he knows in Boston, urging them to come out west and join our band. I do all I can to back him up. So the following week, I'm on the road in the Northeast with Van Halen. I'm interviewing them. And I make a date to meet a drummer, Doug Aurelio, another synth player, Connie De Silva, and a bass player, Marina Muhlfriedel, at Boston's Logan Airport. I'm intent on convincing 3 people I don't know from Adam to move across the country to join a band with a non-existent record deal. Bassist Mick is cool and handsome, arty, film school guy. As I pitch them on my band at my fleeting association with Peter, I see him roll his eyes. He's not quite buying it, but I've already fallen in crush. Mick has to come to LA. He must, I know it. I sense that that's how our story plays out. Peter's influence is already changing lives. Mick does come, they all do. We recruit Terrence, our new lead singer, fresh from playing James Dean on the London stage. We record a fresh set of demos. They're a big improvement. I traveled to England, as I often do in those days, and calling Peter from my London hotel room, he invites me to his home in Bath for a full moon croquet soiree. In a Gabriel, for real. In a Gabriel family summer tradition, 15 or so guests play croquet late into the night on a sprawling lawn with tall wormwood hedges, drinking little cups of peppermint tea out of bone china cups. Basking in moonlight, I am Alice, mesmerized by Wonderland, and I am completely unaware of slipping further through the sliding door and tumbling into a rabbit hole where, for the next 5 years, I'll knock around, getting larger and smaller, and then carrying its residue for the rest of my life. I don't mention to Peter that I left a cassette demo in the fruit bowl on his dining room table. And he doesn't mention receiving it for a while. A couple of months later, though, I receive a pre-dawn call. Peter tells me his record label is interested in signing us and introduces me to a cheery Brit named Tony Stratton-Smith, who owns Charisma Records. None of us could stop whistling Man from China, Tony chortles. Seems we have no choice but to invite you to record under the mighty Charisma wing. He wants to sign Vivabeat to an album deal. This sort of thing does not happen. I know dozens of bands, most far more experienced and popular than us. Bands who struggled for years to get a second glance from a label. We had barely played a show. Such is life in Wonderland. That phone call leads to the 1980 release of Vivabeat's first album, Party in the War Zone, featuring Man from China. The song becomes a dance club hit in much of the world. We get to lip sync it at all the big discos. Remember that? We play some gigs. We tour with Human League, the B-52s, Thompson Twins, Gang of Four, and a host of others. We end up in Brian De Palma's Body Double, toting our MTV award. One night in Hong Kong, a record promoter invites me to visit several clubs. They spin Man from China, shine a spotlight, and introduce me. I wave, vaguely grin, and I try my hardest to appear the femme fatale. That night, I lie in my bed wondering if I have somehow become the person I often thought about pretending to be. That same year, Mick and I are married in an afternoon affair at my parents' Beverlywood home. Me with lavender hair, family and old friends mingling with our music crowd decked out in goth black and Doc Martens. Charisma sends us a giant Waterford crystal bowl as a gift. We are on top of the world because Peter, unbeknownst to him, pried open a most unlikely door. All is not perfect, though, even in Wonderland. While those initial days of Vivabeat and their aftermath allow us to revel in victories, personal and professional, performing, recording, romances, breakups, babies born, frequent flyer miles adding up, post-band careers in movies and music. But it also traverses the nightmares. Right from the start, band money enables Alex heroin habit, and he seduces the other synth player, Connie, and half the LA punk scene into a spiral. Drummer Doug, in his own illusion of infallibility, wipes out on a motorcycle high without a helmet, lives as a paraplegic until he can't anymore, leaving a son still so proud of his musician pops. For Terrence, our lead singer with the golden boy matinee idol looks, Vivabeat opens doors to a lot of unsafe sex, and in time, like Connie and Alec, he succumbs to AIDS. I often wonder where their lives may have led had the Vivabeat door never slid open. Sorting through the pieces, I realized that so much of this life that I lived, including being here right now telling this story, would have not unfolded without Peter as a catalyst. I imagine if he were here tonight among you, I might be inclined to apologize for invoking his name ad nauseum when I blather about my life. But from sharing asparagus, broccoli, and baked potato at La Dame in 1978 to now, he has been an indelible part of it. So instead, if he were here, I would likely take the moment to express my love and gratitude for the shimmering ticket into a wild wonderland he held out to me so many years ago. Thank you.